to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
Yeah, and the question that I always had in my mind was how much, like, this is a bit of a chicken or the egg thing. If a publisher dedicated themselves to publishing only books they thought worth publishing, could they push them into selling? I don't think they could. I think that might have been true 20 years ago, but publishers don't really drive sales anymore. They can influence it, but it's authors drive sales at this point.
Really?
For the most part, yeah. Which is why I was just having this conversation with the two guys I co-host a podcast with who are both authors, and we were talking about why is it that the authors who don't need marketing dollars get all the marketing dollars from publishers? Because, so my guess, I don't know who publishes, say, John Grisham's books, I don't know, it's Penguin Random House or something. He probably gets a 6-figure marketing budget attached to his new books. He does not need it.
Right.
His books will sell by existing because Grisham is a marketing term. I would love to have a 6-figure marketing budget for my books. I don't know that it would return on the investment, but I would love to have it.
Sure,
I could
of course,
use it.
Yeah. So if publishers don't push sales now, who does? I mean, you have 4 books here, which we're going to get to, certainly your newest one. So you know a little bit about this. What does sell books then?
Authors develop followings. And that's really what publishers look for as much as anything now. Most publishers are not first and foremost making decisions based on the quality of the writing. And if you read a lot of Christian books, you'll probably nod your head and say, yes, that is sadly true. Most publishers make decisions based on the following that the author brings to the table. And then what the publisher does is try to take that. So if you look at that as a circle, they try to find like that next concentric circle out. So who are the people who should be in that crowd but are not yet? Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to market a little bit more widely. So somebody like me, I bring a limited audience as compared to like my dad. My dad is John Piper, and he's another one who kind of doesn't need the marketing dollars, comparatively speaking. And so he just brings a following with him, and then Crossway or whoever's publishing his books they're trying to push it out there to those who might not be in that middle circle.
Sure.
But yeah, the author drives it. So much of the marketing strategy rests on an author's willingness to do stuff like this.
Okay.
Are you willing to have all the conversations on all the podcasts? Are you willing to tweet, Instagram, whatever?
Yep.
And some authors are super willing. Some are steadfastly a heart, like I just won't.
Yep.
And then there's the middle ground where you go, I want to, but I also don't want to, go to the point where I feel like I need to go take a shower at the end of every day because I just sort of sold my soul to the marketing devil. Right.
Yes. I can imagine that's a tension. But now, so there's got to be different categories here, right? So like if your dad, which by the way, I'm sure he's still writing books.
He is.
Okay. So if he writes a book, he's got name recognition, and that's just like he's kind of broken through at a certain level, and he just has a certain amount of name recognition. He might not have 100,000 Instagram followers, and he might not even have much social media, but he's got name recognition. But then, like, let's take you, for example. You also have a certain amount of name recognition. Is that what they're after, or is it more, but yes, you also have an email list, and you also have, X amount of social media followers. Like, is there different kind of categories here that they would look for?
Yeah, I think my dad could probably take one of his books to just about any publisher, and unless they just didn't like him,
right.
they're sort of anti-gospel or whatever, they would say yes based solely on the numbers that it can deliver. They would say, yes, we'll take on your book. That's not true for me.
Yep.
Because I have to find the right combination. If it's a book that they're still measuring, is the book worth publishing? I don't think anybody asked that about my dad's books. Mm-hmm. I think he writes stuff worth reading, just to clarify. But I think that the question is, it's in the past because he's written 40 reliable books or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to go in, and if it's a new publisher, they ask, how many Twitter followers, how many Instagram followers, what's your Facebook reach, do you have an email, who are people you can reach out to who will endorse this, and it really feels like a self-sales pitch.
Sure.
And it's kind of gross. I don't like it.
Yeah, where you have to sell yourself to the publisher, you mean?
Right.
That feels sort of gross. Yeah,
yes.
I could imagine that for sure. I mean, but isn't it, you hear of like these stories where like someone has a great book, but they're trying to get it published and they won't because they don't have a platform, but they don't have a platform because they haven't published their book. And it's just like, you're just kind of stuck there, right?
Yeah. It's like being not hired because you don't have experience. And you go, how do I get experience if I can't get hired?
Sure.
There's a it's a circular, like snake eating its tail kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the stories of somebody who didn't have any following, total no name. They publish a novel and then all of a sudden it's New York Times bestseller.
Exactly.
And those are the ones, it's, here in Nashville, it's the songwriter who's nobody who then gets a cut from, I don't know, Keith Urban or somebody.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they're a name, and that's what keeps everybody going.
Yes.
They're like, I don't have a name, but I could be the person who wrote, was it Catherine Stockett who wrote The Help?
Yep.
Or something. And she wasn't anybody. I think she was like a creative, it was like a project for her MFA or something like that.
Dang. That's so cool. It's always fun when that happens, but you can't like, that can't be your strategy for success, right? Because that's not a reliable strategy.
It's like buying lottery tickets instead of getting a job.
Right. Yes.